He's done it. He's actually done it again. Another week. Champions League recaps. All the games. All the goals. Jib is here to save the day. First of all, let's get into the most recent games in all of our minds, the Wednesday games. Starting off with an absolute blockbuster in PSG versus Barcelona. Now, all eyes were focused on this game going into it. Two of the teams that were supposedly supposed to play each other in the Champions League final last year. The likes of Lamine Yamal and Rafinha going up against Dembele and his troops. But no, this did not happen. This amazing matchup that we had built up in our heads was an illusion. Because while I was watching this game and saw the starting lineups, I said, you know what, I'm gonna go make a cup of tea. I ain't got time for this. With Paris Saint-Germain missing all three of the attackers that started in the Champions League final versus Inter. With the lead spearsman being Barcola on the left hand side, who we all know isn't the most clinical. Then we had a Barcelona front three consisting of Lamine Yamal, okay, Rashford and Ferran Torres. Yeah, this is going to be a long day. But it was actually Ferran Torres who scored the opener on the night, opening the scoring after Marcus Rashford slid him through with a first time pass. And by this minute in the game, all of the momentum was with Barcelona. Lamine Yamal was playing on his own different planet, you know, putting it through people's legs, dancing with the ball. Flair, flicks, tricks and outside the boot passes to Ferran Torres. But then this power that Barcelona were displaying throughout the game dwindled. And then these PSG stars would grow into the game, with Seni Mayulu actually scoring a goal for PSG, which was actually single-handedly created by Nuno Mendes. This guy had a phenomenal all-round game but was crucial to this goal. Building up from the back and then just driving down the pitch and penetrating this Barcelona back line. Nuno Mendes and Lamine Yamal had a fierce battle throughout the entirety of the 90 minutes, with both of them having their moments. But all in all, it would be Nuno that left the pitch smiling, because PSG would actually grab a winner in this game, with again another PSG fullback being involved in a goal. Hakimi overlapping and setting up Gonzalo Ramos, who seems to always score at the end of every single PSG game, with PSG grabbing the victory after dominating Barcelona for the entirety of that second half. Lamine Yamal actually looking ghostly at times and lost without the likes of Lewandowski and Rafinha, even despite torturing Mendes at various points in the game and making him even nearly get a red. And I think the brightest spark for Barcelona on the night was Marcus Rashford, which is crazy to say. This guy was actually leading a lot of their attacks and was great in the transition before being taken off. And when he actually got taken off, I thought it was a bit premature. I thought Ferran Torres should have come off instead. PSG lacked the clinical ability to put the ball into the back of the net consistently, you know, when they're missing their front monster trio. Because Barcola wasn't cutting it. These guys were actually missing the monster trio. The guys that show up time and time again and sort teams out. And I ain't talking about Luffy, Sanji and Zoro. I'm talking about Dembele, Doué and Kavicha Kvaratskhelia. Because missing these guys in the team is the equivalent to missing these guys in the battle. If these guys ain't there, you ain't winning the battle. You're going down. But somehow PSG won. And Barcelona looked absolutely miserable. Their defensive line way too high, being exposed time and time again. A defensive line that you can't really play in a Champions League that is so fiercely competitive. But hopefully they'll learn and not waste the potential of guys like Lamine Yamal and Pedri, who still, in games where they lose, have amazing performances. Next up, we had Manchester City drawing 2-2 with Monaco, in a result that I didn't really expect. Monaco being a side that I thought Manchester City would be able to brush off with ease. And from the start of the game, it looked like it was going to go that way, with Haaland getting the first goal. A beautiful finish that would nestle into the back of the net, just demonstrating that Haaland is really that guy this season. But then Teze is given the ball on the edge of the 18-yard box, opens up his body with time and space in front of him, and just whips it into the top left corner before doing, I don't know what kind of dodgy celebration this is. I don't know what he was doing. But again, it was Haaland clawing back this game for Manchester City, scoring a goal that seemed to get Manchester City back in full flow, with him playing really well and the likes of Reinders getting multiple opportunities to score. But late in the game during stoppage time, Manchester City would give away a penalty. And of course Monaco would get the penalty and Eric Dyer would step up and score. I don't know what kind of universe we're living in where Dyer is taking penalties. but I want to get out of it as soon as possible. Now going to another team that played in light blue, Napoli would win 2-1 versus Sporting. A Sporting side that showed a lot of promise in their previous Champions League match. But against the Italian giants, and specifically De Bruyne and Højlund, they couldn't handle the pressure. Because it would be this weird duo that would help them score their first goal on the night. Højlund scoring a composed finish after a transition play that was started by the likes of De Bruyne. A typical transition that De Bruyne would lead, with the likes of Haaland scoring the goal, but this time is Højlund. The beta version, the demo edition, the unpaid version of ChatGPT, not the premium stuff, but this is the guy that was you can use this for free. Højlund would then score again via a Kevin De Bruyne assist again, and it was just a pattern that we saw throughout the game. It wasn't just these two goals, but there was other opportunities too, and it's a partnership that I think a lot of football fans and Napoli fans want to see.
But before that second Napoli goal,
Napoli would give away a penalty and Luis Suarez would step up and put it into the back of the net. But this ain't the Suarez that I used to know. Somebody... Yeah, this is a different Luis Suarez. This guy's actually Colombian. Arsenal would be involved in a 2-0 routine win against Olympiacos, a team that actually stunned them a few seasons back. And I remember this game. I remember when I lost my mind. Because I think it was in the Europa League where Arsenal, actually plummeted out of the competition at the hands of this club. So every time I see this badge, I want to just punch it. I mean... And punch it in the game we did, with Gyökeres actually knocking people out to the ground, just running towards the goal, and then Martinelli actually scoring off of this chance that was created by Gyökeres. Then late on in the game, after Arsenal faced a couple injury problems with Gabriel going off, Saka would get the goal to secure the win for Gunners. And with all worldwide Gunners putting their hands up and saying, yes, I join them. And honestly, one standout player from this game was Martin Ødegaard, who is slowly showing that he's getting back into the form that we all know him for. However, let's not get ahead of ourselves. He is playing against Olympiacos. And let's just quickly glaze that amazing save that David Raya pulled off in this game. Bro, this guy's like a cat. Meow. We then had a sticky situation with Villarreal drawing 2-2 to Juventus. A side that just... Bro, these guys just can't buy an easy win. This game was actually chaotic, with Villarreal's star man on the night being Nicola Pepe, being involved in the goal that put Villarreal 1-0 up in the game. A goal that Peeeeaaaace would put in the back of the net. Then Juventus come out into that second half of a new lease of life. Gatti scores the first goal, then Cohen Sao comes in and starts penetrating the Villarreal defence, creating chaos, multiple opportunities and providing Juventus with that winger play that they desire, before finally getting his goal in the 56th minute. But even though victory seemed to be at the hands of Juventus fans, it was no longer going to be there, because Renato Vega would reach high and head home a Villarreal equaliser in the 90th minute. Another one of these games with a late night goal. And from one team that play in yellow bananas to another team that are also yellow bananas, we have to talk about Dortmund winning 4-1 against Athletic Club. And they actually made it look easy, with them grabbing their first goal in the 28th minute. Then in the 50th minute, it would actually be Chukwuemeka that scored his first Champions League goal for the club and in his career. But then Athletic would get one back despite Dortmund pretty much dominating the majority of this game. And their goal wouldn't mean anything because Guirassy would get his own, scoring another goal for Dortmund and adding to the tally of goals to his name. Then finally Julian Brandt would sprinkle the icing on top of this cake, making it 4-1 in a dominant game for Dortmund where they had 13 shots and 8 on target. Now let's take you to another game between Bayer Leverkusen and PSV that was, absolutely spectacular. It was spectacular at putting me to bed, because even when I was watching the highlights back, I was snoozing. And even though there would be disallowed goals in the game and all this nonsense, bro, these two sides are just dry. You know what I mean? They're knackered. I don't really care for either of them. Then we cross the borders to Belgium, illegally, and talk about Union SG versus Newcastle. Now Union SG were a side that last time out showed a lot of promise in their previous Champions League game. So accordingly, going into a game against Newcastle at home, I thought they could get something. But no, Anthony Gordon showed up with his headband looking like some sort of samurai and said, "I'm scoring against your club." The first goal in the game, however, would be scored by Tonali, but credited to Walter Mada, who would just be in the right place at the right time to get a deflection and put it into the back of the net. And from there, Newcastle were just relentless with attack after attack, with Union SG giving away multiple penalties in the game that Anthony Gordon would slot away. However, there was no need for this celebration when scoring a penalty. And then going into the depths of the game, it would be Harvey Barnes that would capitalise on the open space that was being left in behind and score the 4th goal on the night. And let's not forget the last game that happened on Wednesday, Karabag winning 2-0 against Copenhagen, with this being the first time they have ever secured 6 points in the history of this competition. Now let's head over to the previous games that happened on Tuesday, and you know what, this recording is getting way out of hand, so I'm gonna just speed run through a lot of these games, unless they actually have a lot of talking points that I want to discuss. Real Madrid would batter Kairat 5-0, but ultimately it was a win for Kairat fans because they hosted Real Madrid and got to see an Mbappe performance where he would score a hat-trick, demonstrating that he is really putting himself up there as one of the most elite players in world football again. After a season full of downfall, he is here to take the mantle as best player in the world, linking up beautifully in the game with the likes of Vinicius before putting the opportunity wide, and also Arda Güler. Camavinga would also get a goal in the game thanks to a beautiful marauding run by Rodrigo, and also Brahim Diaz would get the 5th on the night. And this was just a lovely bounce back for Real Madrid, especially after their result previously against Atletico Madrid in the league. They needed to up the confidence and get their mojo back, and I think they did. Shout out Mojo Jojo though. Then another destruction of a nation occurred, with Bayern Munich winning 5-1 against Paphos. I'm seeing Michael Olise do dancing moves in the middle of the game. I don't know what this guy's playing at. If Saka is humble, then Olise is evil, because he was making a mockery of a lot of the defenders in this match. Harry Kane would continue his machine-like goal-scoring ability with 2 in this game, and also another underrated player that had a great performance in this match was Guerrero, who got a goal as well. Nicolas Jackson would get his first for Bayern Munich too, and Olise would get the respect that he deserves and get a goal that was very deserved, because arguably he was Bayern Munich's best player in the game. But Paphos didn't go home empty-handed, because Orsic just randomly scored a banger, stunning Manuel Neuer in goal and getting his own. You know, he's going to be telling his grandkids about this moment. Yes, son, I once scored against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. It was a great goal, even though we lost 5-1, and I'm balding. Bayern Munich literally had like 26 shots in the game. It was absolutely like a FIFA exhibition match, and it was brilliant to watch. And they are steady looking like one of the most dominant sides in Europe this season. And going hand in hand into the term of one of the most dominant sides in Europe, we have to talk about Inter Milan's victory against Slavia Praha, with a gift of an opener being scored by Lautaro Martinez, who would inflate his stats so people can call him world class at the end of the season. But he actually had a good game, let me not lie. He would score in the 30th minute, then Denzel Dumfries would get a goal too, with Marcus Thuram being involved in a lot of build-up play, showing that he is not just this one-dimensional striker. He actually has some pretty good feet too. You know, his technical ability is quite underrated, and he is quite fast. Lautaro Martinez would also get a 2nd in the game, and Inter Milan would just look very, very comfortable. Even in a season where there's been many critics of this side, their star players are showing up, and Martinez is there, Bastoni was involved in the goal and was very good in this game, and they're just showing that this is the same Champions League final squad from last season. They haven't really lost anyone, apart from their manager obviously. Then we saw a dominant display from Atletico Madrid, who honestly deserve a whole separate video, and I might be making a video talking about this side, because this side is locked in this season, and they would win 5-1 against Frankfurt. A Frankfurt side that last week absolutely battered Galatasaray. And in the game, Raspadori would open the scoring within 10 minutes. Lenormand would get a goal and Griezmann would score too, with him actually establishing that he is one of the most underappreciated players of this modern era. Like, again, in all the conversations, being up there in the Ballon d'Or rankings back in the day, this guy has stuck around at Atletico even through bad patches where he's gone to Barcelona, had a failed move. He's come back and established himself as a superstar in this sport. He would get his goal, then in the second half, Jonathan Burkhardt would get one back for Frankfurt, igniting absolutely nothing because they couldn't set the fire alight. It was a failure because Simeone would score in the 70th minute. And then to top it off, Julian Alvarez would get a deserved goal via a penalty, but all around, His game was absolutely beautiful. Alvarez showing that he actually has the capabilities to be world class, I swear. And I don't know if that's going to happen or be recognized at Atletico Madrid, but I swear, this guy is borderline world class. Then Liverpool fans entered the Lions Den, facing Galatasaray away from home. And this game was an absolute movie, with the Galatasaray fans making it seem like this was being played in a Colosseum, with Galatasaray actually swinging the momentum in their favour early. With multiple opportunities to score, they would actually get the first and only goal in the game, with Victor Osimhen scoring a penalty in the game and the only goal. And throughout the 90 minutes, we would just see Galatasaray put the pressure on these Liverpool players. Drowning them in their own half, Osimhen would get multiple opportunities to score but would miss, with Alisson pulling off big saves before being subbed off via an injury. Osimhen at times in this game had Konate doing backflips because he was looking left, right, but Osimhen had already got past him. And to top off this disaster class performance by Konate, randomly in the stream that I was watching on Prime Video, this advert showed up and Konate's having an absolute stinker. And you're putting this as an ad roll. Absolutely crazy, but I was loving it. Liverpool would lose their lucky streak in this game and actually be dominated throughout the entire 90 minutes. With them looking quite toothless in attack, I think Frimpong is not a winger at all. Because attacking wise, this guy's looking like Andros Townsend. Even worse. And defensively, he's poor too. So he's making Dominic Szoboszlai play right back even though he should probably be in the middle. Liverpool just need to revert back to default settings, get Robertson back in this team because Kerkez ain't doing anything, and play a similar lineup that they were dominating the Premier League with last season. Because with a game against Chelsea over the horizon, there's going to be a lot of eyes watching this guy. What decisions will he make against Maresca, who actually pulled off a win in their Champions League game this week? With his men winning 1-0 against my Benfica, that recently appointed Mourinho. I don't know if this is going to end well, but they actually played pretty well in this game, with actually Rios scoring the only goal that would give Chelsea the advantage, an own goal. And every time I actually watch Rios, he just disappoints me. I don't know why they signed him. Was it for his haircut? I guess the haircut is good. I guess I need a trim too, but his footballing ability is not that. And then the inevitable would happen for Chelsea. 3 red cards in 3 back-to-back games. This is reminding me of Arsenal a few years back where we were going through this same spiral of getting red card after red card. And I think it's because there's no real mature presence in this Chelsea dressing room that's going to tell all of these guys to chill the hell out. There's no elder statesman like Thiago Silva in this squad no more. They ain't got no one that's got real, I guess, aura that the kids will say. There is no one in this squad, and even the manager is young too, even though he looks 755. And even though Cole Palmer's probably got enough credit in the bank to tell these players what to do, first of all, he wasn't playing in this game, and second of all, I don't think he's the best talker. Marseille would run riot against Ajax, winning 4-0 with Paxal scoring multiple goals and Aubameyang playing like prime Mesut Ozil, threading through passes consistently, letting the likes of Mason Greenwood score and then getting a goal for himself. Then we head over to Atalanta, who took on my beloved Club Brugge, and Club Brugge disappointed me in this game, man. They did not win. They lost 2-1. And this actually got me down, man. After the likes of Mignolet saved Club Brugge last week. Come on, man. I ain't even going to cover this game. But lastly, let's touch upon a game that will improve a lot of our moods. Tottenham drew to Bodo Glimt. 2-2.
This contest is over. Give that man the $10,000.
After starting this season on fire, it looks like Thomas Frank's men have been held at a stop. Because in a game against Bodo Glimt that they should be winning with ease, they would fight on and claw for a draw. With Haug, I think his name's pronounced, scoring 2 goals for Bodo Glimt. Then Mickey van der Ven would score, and late on Tottenham would get the equaliser. But this was actually just an insane game, with Bodo Glimt actually dominating, getting over 18 shots in the game. Bro, they're playing Tottenham. They showed absolutely no fear whatsoever, and this is something that they should be carrying into their future games in this competition. And now that I'm reading back some of my notes on the game, the guy that scored the goal for Bodo Glimt is Jens Petter Haug. He's a Norwegian striker that was signed by Milan back in 2020 and just didn't really pick up any of the pace. Before going out on loan to Frankfurt, he's found himself at Bodo Glimt and scoring against Tottenham back in the Champions League. Now that is all the Champions League games that we saw this week, and honestly guys, these videos take a lot of effort, so make sure you leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. But before you go, let's take a look at the table. Because after 2 games in this competition, the likes of Benfica, Athletic Club, Ajax are chilling at the bottom with Kairat, and towards the top of the table it is the usual suspects, the likes of Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, PSG, Inter Milan and Arsenal, with the only other team joining these sides at the top of the table being Karabag, who have got 2 wins from 2 games. Shout out to Karabag. So of course, if you want me to continue this series of talking about all the Champions League games, then just leave a like on this video, show some support, show some love, and share it to anyone that wants to catch up on the games without watching, you know, the obvious highlights. And I've been considering not doing this series. You know, I've been going back and forth with myself. Do I want to do current events? Do I even want to cover stuff like this? Or should I just talk about the topics that I like to talk about, which is mostly the past? For exclusive content, make sure you join the channel and follow my Instagram to be involved in polls that actually directly impact these videos. This has been me, Jib Rules, as always, and make sure you stay safe, stay blessed, and peace.